Thunder rumbled over the valley as Edda pressed her palms into the mossy earth of the crystal grove, feeling its ancient heartbeat. Blue, violet, and emerald crystals jutted from the roots and branches around her, glittering in rhythm with the pulse she felt through her bones. She brushed dirt from a small, glowing sprout, a sapling crystal unlike any she'd seen. Suddenly, the grove's calm was shattered. A sharp crack echoed through the trees and shouts rang nearby. Edda squinted through the tangled undergrowth as bootsteps pounded closer. Two voices argued, loud and desperate. "Grab it before she gets away!" hissed a gruff man draped in leather armor, eyes gleaming with greed. "We can't just take it! The grove punishes thieves!" protested a younger voice, anxious yet determined. Edda's pulse thundered in her ears. She tucked the sapling crystal into her satchel and slipped behind a curtain of hanging crystals, heart hammering. The magical grove answered her panic, trembling with power and casting shifting rainbow light across the forest floor. Edda's instincts screamed at her to run, but her feet were rooted. Was it terror or the magic? She forced herself to move, weaving between tree-sized crystals, careful not to let them touch her skin for fear of strange visions or worse. The bootsteps drew closer. The gruff man growled under his breath. "I'm telling you, she's just a gardener. She won't fight." Edda cursed under her breath. She wished it were true. She knew nothing of fighting, only tending wounds and coaxing blooms from soil. The sapling crystal in her bag pulsed with urgency. "Help me," she whispered to the grove. A soft hum buzzed through the leaves as a low, thorny vine shifted, tripping the pursuers. They crashed to the ground, cursing. Edda ducked under the shelter of an ancient crystal arch. But she knew escape wouldn't be so easy. The valley was ringed by factions, greedy for the grove's secrets. Nearby, a small, furry shape slunk from the shadows. It was Finn, a foxish creature with tufted ears and curious golden eyes. Finn's voice echoed telepathically in her head, faint but fierce. "Escape while you can." Edda nodded, gathering her trembling courage. She bolted through a passage lined with singing crystals, clutching the healing sapling. She didn't know that war was brewing at the grove's edge, or that she would soon have to choose sides. For now, every step was survival. The chase through the grove had only just begun. Edda's ragged breath misted in the dawn-chilled air. Crystal branches scraped her arms as she darted through hidden trails. Behind her, muffled curses underscored the relentless pursuit. The ancient grove shifted, petals closing as if to shield her. Yet the danger would not be so easily forgotten. Finn leaped ahead, luring Edda into a hollow beneath a shimmering willow crystal. Inside, the light bent oddly, painting the air with shifting colors. Time itself seemed to slow. "Are they gone?" Edda whispered, voice shaking. Finn's ears flicked. "For now, but they know you have it. The whole valley will soon enough." Edda's heart clenched, her thoughts scattering. The crystal sapling radiated gentle warmth from her satchel. She drew it out, watching pale gold glow thrum along its veins. "What if I just gave it to them?" she murmured, pain coloring her words. Maybe they'd leave the grove alone. Finn's amber gaze fixed her. "You saw what they did to the willow ring last winter. They'll take and they'll ruin. That crystal can heal what they break, maybe even more." A sudden, distant horn sent crows bursting from the treetops. That warning belonged to the guardians, the secretive keepers of balance. Edda hesitated, torn. "We have to go deeper," Finn insisted. "To Leaf Shadow. Maybe the Dryads will help us, but we must hurry." Edda swallowed her fear. "If I go with you, what about the grove? My village? I can't protect it all." Finn hopped onto her shoulder, brushing his nose to her cheek, a gesture of trust. "You won't be alone. No one can defend the crystals alone, not even you. But you're the first the sapling's chosen in centuries. That means something." A memory flashed, her mother's last words about the grove's mysteries, always paired with a warning never to pluck what calls to the soul. Edda closed her eyes, the weight of the valley settling on her. "Then let's go. Lead the way, Finn." Together they plunged deeper into wilderness. The crystal paths narrowed, roots tangled beneath slick moss. Strange runes glowed in hidden nooks. Far behind, Edda heard the call of another hunting horn, closer this time. The rival factions were closing in, and the morning light was running out. Overhead, the crystal canopy shimmered with secrets. Edda pressed forward, determined to protect the sapling, to heal what was broken, even if it meant facing ancient magic and bitter enemies she had never dreamed of meeting. Her journey had begun, and she realized it was shaping her too. They pressed deeper into the shadowy heart of the grove. Above them, the branches tangled into faint crystal arches, casting a light that shimmered like forgotten memories. The path grew wilder, marked by ancient symbols and half swallowed by brambles. Finn moved with practiced grace, pausing for Edda to catch up as she stumbled over gnarled roots. Suddenly, a wall of thorned vines slithered into their path. Edda stepped back, startled, but Finn raised a paw in warning. The vines parted slightly, revealing a tall, silver-skinned creature with emerald eyes and hair of long, green fronds, an elder dryad. Her voice carried both music and menace. "Who dares disturb Leafshadow in these times of war?" she intoned, eyes fixed on the sapling through Edda's satchel. Edda mustered her courage. "The grove is under threat. The sapling, it's different. It heals things no other crystal can." Her voice trembled, but she didn't back down. The dryad's gaze softened by a hair's breadth. "Many desire the sapling. Why should Leafshadow defend you?" Finn nudged Edda's elbow. "Tell her about the vision, the sapling's power." Edda's cheeks flushed. "Last night I dreamed of the valley, burned and broken, but wherever the sapling touched, the land healed. Trees stood again. Rivers flowed back. The crystals," she hesitated, "they grew brighter than ever, but faces I didn't know cried out in pain." The dryad's expression flickered, unreadable. Vines eased their grip as she stepped closer. "The sapling chooses rarely, for healing, yes." Here her eyes glinted with hope and warning. "But also great change. Will you risk this, even if it means loss?" Edda squared her shoulders, the enormity of the moment upon her. "If it saves the grove, my village, and the souls who call this valley home, I'll risk it. But I need your help." The dryad tilted her head, considering. The grove seemed to pause and listen as she finally spoke. "You may shelter beneath Leafshadow's wards tonight. Dawn brings counsel with the circle, elder dryads and ancient spirits alike. There, your fate and the grove's will be weighed." Relief and anxiety warred inside Edda as the dryad led them beneath a protective dome of glowing branches. As she lay awake beside Finn, clutching the sapling beneath her cloak, Edda wondered if she was truly worthy. Outside, the shadows thickened. Not far away, the rival hunters circled closer, and the great powers of the grove began to stir. Morning's light filtered through the leafy crystals, fracturing into 1,000 colors. Edda woke to the soft chants of dryads weaving misty patterns above her. Finn nudged her elbow, fur bristling. "Today's the council," he said, his mental words crisp and nervous. "You have to be strong." Edda's heart pounded as she tucked the sapling crystal into her cloak. Leafshadow stood nearby, silent as ancient stone. Dryads and lesser spirits gathered in a ring, some shy and ethereal, others imposing and stern. When Leafshadow motioned, Edda stepped forward. She couldn't keep her voice from trembling. "I'm Edda. I was chosen by the sapling to protect the grove and try to heal what's broken." A silver-bearded spirit with opal eyes hovered beside an elder dryad. "You are no guardian, just a gardener," he rumbled skeptically. "The factions hunt you. You risk all our lives for a hope." Leafshadow interrupted. "The sapling has never chosen before. It must sense something lost." Edda drew in a shaky breath. "The sapling showed me visions of wounds that span more than just our land. I swear I'll do everything I can to save the grove." A ripple of argument surged through the council. "But can she wield its power without destroying us?" another dryad demanded. Finn leapt in, eyes fierce. "She's not like those who would take for greed. She came when the grove called. Give her a chance." Silence followed, heavy and tense, until a gentle breeze brushed Edda's cheek. The sapling in her arms shimmered brighter, and the wound on her palm, a cut from last night, slowly faded until only smooth skin remained. The crowd gasped. Leafshadow spoke at last. "She has the grove's favor, but if she falters, we all fall. There is one test. Retrieve the heartstone from the forgotten hollows. Only those pure of purpose return. Succeed, and you keep the sapling. Fail, and both yours and the grove's fate will twist to darkness." Edda's throat dried, the stakes clear as crystal, but she nodded. "I accept." Finn quivered beside her, determined. "Then I go too." The council slowly parted, opening a path between ancient whispering trees. The journey to the Forgotten Hollows would begin at midday, and far outside the council's ring, hidden eyes watched as the grove prepared to send its unlikely champion into the oldest, deepest danger it knew. Noon's light was harsh and glaring when Edda and Finn left the safety of Leaf Shadow's wards. A hush filled the grove. Even the birds and wind seemed afraid of where they were headed. Anxious spirits trailed them with glowing, curious eyes before melting back into hollowed stumps and tangled roots. The path to the Forgotten Hollows wound through tight corridors of black crystal. The air was thick and cold, humming with old sorrows. Edda clutched the sapling tighter, feeling its steady pulse like a heartbeat against her palm. "Are you scared?" Finn whispered through the hush. Edda nodded with a wry smile. "I've never been beyond the willow pools. I always thought the legends of the hollows were just stories." Finn's tail flicked anxiously. "We'll stick together. Remember, the path reveals dangers to the unworthy, but helps those it trusts." A sudden, sharp cracking echoed ahead. Edda stopped cold. Out of the shadows, 3 figures with the insignia of the rival faction, the Iron Crescent, emerged. Their faces were masked, eyes cold and calculating. The lead figure stepped forward, voice steely. "Hand over the sapling, girl. It belongs with power, not a scared little gardener." Edda struggled to keep her voice steady. "It belongs where it heals the most." The Iron Crescent agent sneered. "You think the grove can be healed by kindness? This land only respects strength. Last chance? Give it to us." Finn growled, small but fierce. "Touch her and the grove will answer." Before anyone could move, the black crystals at their feet began to glow, first softly, then blazing with blue fire. The ground shook, splitting a chasm between Edda and the Iron Crescent. Roots twisted up, forming a jagged barrier. The Iron Crescent agents scrambled away in alarm as the earth closed over their retreat. Breathing hard, Edda staggered back. "Was that me?" she whispered. Finn shook his head, awe warring with terror. "The grove's watching you. It must want you to keep going." Gingerly, they moved on. Soon the trees thinned out, and the path widened toward a yawning cave wreathed in shadowy light, the entrance to the Forgotten Hollows. Every story insisted that those who entered either found their purpose or lost themselves forever. Edda paused, heart pounding, as the sapling crystal pressed warm and hopeful in her hand. With Finn at her side, she stepped past the threshold. The darkness closed around them, swallowing doubt and fear alike, as the real test, for both the sapling and her own courage, began at last. At first, the Forgotten Hollows were utterly silent. No wind, no echo of footfall. Edda's lantern cast frail golden halos across black, glassy stone. The sapling crystal's light danced ahead, sometimes forming shapes that teased the edge of memory. Finn hovered near her boots, his fur spiked with nerves. "Stay close. Hollows like these play tricks on heart and mind." They pressed forward, deeper into a dripping labyrinth. Old roots etched with runes snaked up the walls, pulsing with strange energy. Occasionally, Edda caught glimpses of faces, ghostly, solemn, peeking from the corners, only to vanish when she blinked. "Do you ever wonder what would happen," she whispered into the gloom, "if the grove died completely?" Finn swallowed, his voice quiet. The valley would crumble, magic would fade. Even the factions only fight because they remember what was lost. Edda's chest tightened. Then the grove can't fall. A fork in the path loomed ahead. On the left, a tunnel of flickering blue light beckoned. On the right, a narrow chute shimmered violet, humming low and soft. The sapling's glow flickered between both. Finn glanced questioningly. "Which way?" Edda hesitated, feeling for the sapling's pulse. When she breathed deeply and quieted her mind, the warmth in her palm pressed gently to the right. She nodded. "That way. Trust me." As soon as they entered the violet corridor, the air shimmered, and suddenly, Edda was alone. The walls whirled, twisting into visions. Her mother stooped with age, tending seedlings. Her own hands moving too slow, never enough. Echoes of villagers' disappointed voices filled the space. Failure, always failure. She clenched her fists, her breath ragged. Then faintly, Finn's voice threaded through the dark, steady and stubborn. "You have to believe you're enough. Otherwise, no crystal or grove can help you." Edda reached for the sapling, letting its warmth burn away the old doubts. The shadows peeled back. Finn appeared at her side, tail wagging. "You're still with me?" He winked. "Trick corridors can't break our bond." Relief rushed through her. They pressed onward, finally emerging into a cavern lit by the soft heartbeat of a single, massive crystal set in ancient stone, the Heartstone. Its glow beckoned gently, but something oily and cold slipped behind the thrill of discovery. As they approached, the sapling quivered in warning. The test wasn't over. The true danger of the hollows, the one that preyed on hope and trust, waited just ahead, its patience as old and hungry as the grove itself. The cavern's stillness shattered as a shadow wriggled free from the wall, stretching into a tall, featureless figure, its form inky and shifting, eyes like empty wells. Edda instinctively raised the sapling, whose golden heart flickered with resolve. Finn bristled, lowering himself into a defensive crouch. "That's not a spirit of the grove, it's something darker." The figure's voice slithered through the cavern. "Leave the Heartstone, child. Healings always have a cost. Give up your hope, and I'll let you pass unscathed." Edda shook, torn between fear and the purpose she'd found in the grove's touch. "I won't trade the grove's future for my own safety." The shadow figure's form blurred, pressing closer. The cavern's walls seemed to pulse in time with Edda's fear. "Brave talk for someone who doubts herself so deeply. How many crops have withered under your care? How many gardens failed? What makes you think you can save all this?" Edda's hands tightened around the sapling. Her failures echoed in her head, as loud as the figure's taunts. "Because I'm still trying. I learned from every mistake. And it's not just me anymore. The grove chose me for a reason." Finn barked sharply, his eyes never leaving the shadow. "She has more heart than anyone I've known. You want us to surrender now? Not while there's a chance to make things right." The figure recoiled as light radiated from the sapling, illuminating the cold corners of the cave. Edda's determination surged. "If healing means facing the truth, even the parts I'm scared of, I'll pay that price." A roar of wind swept through the room as the shadow shrieked, shrinking and collapsing inward, vanishing into nothing. Instantly, the Heartstone's light brightened, suffusing the cavern with warmth. Edda craned her neck upward, awestruck. "We did it," Finn piped up, amazement in his tone. Edda stepped forward, lifting the sapling to the Heartstone. The crystal's light poured through the sapling, tracing every vein with living magic. Edda gasped as images flashed. Ancient dryads planting the first crystals, villagers and magical creatures coexisting, and most haunting, factions united to shield the grove from a darkness now stirring again. When the light faded, the Heartstone's blessing lingered in the sapling, making it brighter and more alive than before. With Finn beside her, Edda turned to leave the cavern, stronger and more resolute. But the way out was no longer the same. The hollow's walls trembled, a warning of trouble above. Outside, the balance of power was shifting. The Iron Crescent and the Grove's guardians were both closing in, and Edda realized her test had only just begun. The true battle for the Grove and for her own place within it lay just ahead. Edda and Finn emerged from the Forgotten Hollows into a grove utterly transformed. Dawn bled crimson and gold across the trees, but the peace was shattered. Rival banners flapped at the forest's edge, and shouts punctuated the sickly quiet. Villagers huddled together, eyes wide with fear, guarded by tense groups from both factions. Branches bowed beneath the weight of magic on the air, power that felt wild and nearly out of control. Finn nuzzled her hand, whispering, "You carry the Heartstone's blessing. They'll sense it. You'll have to be brave, Edda." The dryads of Leaf Shadow emerged from the depths, eyes desperate. Elder spirits hovered uncertainly, waiting for Edda's next move. At the grove's border, the Iron Crescent leader, a tall woman with a scar tracking her jaw, raised her sword, her voice booming over the chaos. "Hand over the crystal, or we will claim the grove for ourselves. We have no wish to harm innocents, but you leave us no choice." Leaf Shadow moved to Edda's side. "We will shield you as long as we can," she intoned. "But even our power is failing with the conflict's approach. The grove's magic strains, something must unite them." Edda's grip tightened on the sapling, warmth vibrating up her arm, steadying her voice. "If I give you the sapling, you'll bleed this place dry. It can heal everything and everyone. Only if we share it." The Iron Crescent leader snarled. "Naive child, power is not meant to be split amongst the weak." A figure broke through the crowd. A villager Edda knew, her childhood friend Rowan, his face twisted with fear and defiance. "What about the rest of us, Commander? This is our home, too." The crowd's mood shifted, hope flickering amid suspicion. Edda's mind raced. She raised the sapling, letting its light spill outward. The Heartstone's magic arced between the crystals overhead, weaving a shimmering wall between factions and villagers. Finn added his voice. sharp and clear. Edda risked everything. She proved her worth in the hollows. If you love the grove, if you remember what it once was, stand with her. Leaf Shadow picked up the cry. Spirits and villagers joined in, their voices a rising river, drowning out the Iron Crescent's shouts. Edda stood tall in the center and began to weave the Heartstone's power through the sapling, letting herself remember every moment of hope and struggle that brought her here. A tremor shook the grove, the magic near breaking point. For one breathless moment, it seemed that war would explode anyway. But then the sapling's power swelled, reaching every corner of the grove. As crystals blazed and wounded trees began to heal, Edda realized what was truly at stake. War, or a chance at unity. The factions stared, stunned, as magic neither broke nor bent, but blossomed into something new. The choice still hung in the balance, and Edda knew her next move would decide more than just the fate of the grove. Silence fell over the grove as Edda stepped forward, standing between the warring factions. The power in her hands was alive, raw, trembling, hopeful. But her own voice, when it came, was soft. This sapling cannot heal if its magic is taken by force. The grove lives only when its people nourish it, together. The Iron Crescent leader glared, sword raised but wavering. Villagers and rival fighters hesitated, caught by the glow that pulsed from the sapling. From deep beneath the surface, the land itself shuddered, sending cracks through the crystal-laden earth. Ancient spirits flickered, their concern etched in the air. Finn pressed close to Edda's ankle, courage in his eyes. Leaf Shadow spoke, voice shaking but determined. We are at the brink. Destroy the grove or shape its rebirth. The grove has chosen. Will you listen? A brittle silence. Then Rowan, trembling but earnest, called out, We can't keep fighting. The grove has suffered enough. Let Edda try. Other villagers took up the plea. Even some Iron Crescent soldiers lowered their weapons, glancing toward the grove's sickly branches, already flushing green at the sapling's touch. You should rule, the Iron Crescent leader growled at Edda, since the grove listens to you. Edda shook her head, heart pounding. No. The grove needs caretakers, not rulers. It needs healing, not conquest. She took a step forward, holding the sapling high. Let this be the last wound it ever suffers. A deafening crack split the air. Shadows poured from the torn earth, a remnant of the darkness Edda had faced in the hollows, trying once more to seize the magic for itself. The Iron Crescent's leader rallied her fighters, but the shadows overwhelmed all, bringing panic and chaos. Edda closed her eyes, reaching deep within herself and the sapling, feeling roots and veins intertwined, villagers, dryads, even her own fear. Finn's voice pressed against her mind. Don't fight alone. Ask for help. Edda cried out, her voice trembling but clear. Every guardian, spirit, friend, lend what you can. Heal the grove with me. Hands, human and branch, paw and wing, spirit and earth, joined with hers. Light pulsed from the sapling, the Heartstone's blessing pouring through every connection. Together they pushed back the shadows, inch by inch. The grove shook with their effort. Trees revived, wounds healed, crystals shone anew. But the darkness would not yield so easily. Exhaustion clawed at Edda, even as hope blazed bright. If they faltered, the grove would be lost forever. The greatest struggle loomed, needing more than power or courage, but true unity and trust. As the final shadow gathered itself for one last desperate assault, Edda's voice rose through the chaos, a cry that reached every heart. Help me save what we all share. In that moment, everything hung in the balance, with the fate of the grove and of everyone who called it home, waiting on the final surge of unity that only they could bring. The grove trembled on the edge of disaster. All around Edda, spirits cried out, villagers clung together, and even warriors from rival factions reached for a common hope. The sapling in Edda's grip became a beacon, bright enough to cast shadows aside, but the darkness before her, a swirling mass of old wounds and bitter memories, refused to vanish completely. The final shadow surged, lashing out in a whirlwind of pain and regret. Edda faltered, knees threatening to buckle under the weight. Panic crackled through the crowd. Finn, battered but undeterred, leapt to her side. Edda, it can't be just you. Trust them. Trust us. Summoning every scrap of faith, Edda looked not at the darkness, but at the faces around her. Frightened, hopeful, stubborn. She opened her heart, and the sapling blazed. A chorus of voices joined hers. Leaf Shadow called the wind. Rowan rallied the villagers. Even the Iron Crescent leader, her resolve broken, dropped her sword to kneel beside them. Hand in hand, paw in paw, branch in branch, they rose as one. The sapling's roots dug deep, anchoring not just into the crystal soil, but into every life bound to the grove. The light grew, weaving memories of kindness, of resilience, of every small victory over despair, into something stronger than the sum of their fears. The darkness screamed, shrinking as warmth flowed through every crystal and tree. Wounds closed, old scars faded, and the twisted branches began to flower. When the last shadow finally fled, it left only silence, a peaceful hush, sweet with the scent of dew and blossom. Exhausted, Edda slumped to the ground, Finn curled at her side, murmuring, "You didn't just heal the grove, you changed it." Villagers wept freely. The once broken leader of the Iron Crescent rose, tears glinting on her cheeks. "We fought for control, but she showed us there's another way. The grove belongs to all who cherish it." Leaf Shadow approached, laying a gentle frond on Edda's shoulder. "You have given us what we nearly lost, hope. The grove will thrive as long as its keepers remember this day." The sapling, now radiant and tall, stood at the center of the grove, its magic spread gently among all living things. Old wounds, both seen and unseen, faded. Edda caught her breath, marveling at the unity before her. She had started as a gardener, doubtful, but now understood her true gift. Not just to heal, but to ask for help, to let hope bloom wider than any single heart. The grove shone under dawn's full light, alive with possibility. Humanity, spirits, and all the valley's creatures had prevailed, not through conquest but through courage and unity. And in the heart of it all, Edda smiled, knowing the future would forever be shaped by their choice to stand as one.